This is a Lowell Observatory podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to Star Stuff, a space oddity.
Hello and welcome to Star Stuff. I am Cody Half-Moon, and today I am joined by Dean Regas of Cincinnati Observatory, and we have the best shades on right now. I can't see anything. I've never put one of these on before.
No, I got them over top, so now I look
smart.
cooler. Yeah, so now I'm 6 eyes.
And this is for this solar viewing.
Oh, yeah. So we've got 2 big solar eclipses coming up.
What?
October 14th of this year, partial eclipse, and then total eclipse April 8th, 2024.
Okay.
So we're ready for that. And, the observatory in Cincinnati, we're getting ready for it. We got our eclipse shades. We want everybody to get prepared ahead of time. And, so that one's for you. And this one will be for you too.
And you can look directly at the sun with these?
Yes. So anytime, doesn't matter if it's eclipse day, just regular sun day, look up there.
Cool.
And so if you have these from the last eclipse, double check their safety, make sure they're still good. Like
Safety
shine
first.
a big flashlight through them, make sure there's no holes or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
But if you haven't got them, get them now because soon it's going to be tougher.
Yes. Yeah. We've got 2, right? We've got the annular,
Exactly.
which I very selfishly named the for our event because we're almost in the line of totality.
Yeah, you're close.
Just outside of it. The Southwest annular eclipse.
There we go. Sure. Yeah. I mean, it is
because
mostly
it's kind of going
southwest. Yeah.
mostly southwest.
Yeah.
And then that's October 14th.
Right.
And
Yes.
then April 4th.
April 8th.
April 8th.
2024.
April 8th, 2024
Yes.
for the total solar.
Yes, and so that one you got to go a little east from here, so Texas and then up through like Missouri and even Ohio. So we're going to be real close to it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Are you doing an event? Are you moving to totality?
We're going to be at the Cincinnati Observatory. We're going to be at 99%.
Oh,
which
that's
you can't just stay there. You can't. So you only have to drive about 20 miles away to get in a little path of totality. But I think going north about 50 miles or west about 50 miles should be in good shape. So I wish we could just pick up the whole observatory, move it over.
Have you considered it?
Yeah, I asked,
okay.
and I said, "Can we bring the old telescope? Just take it off the pier for a while. Just put it in the back of my car. We'll drive it over."
I mean, if they moved the Clark in the early 1900s to Mexico and back.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they could do that. One's way bigger than ours. So
Right? And
yeah.
they had way fewer resources and staff. I mean, I just think excuses at this point.
Yeah,
Excuses.
well, it is getting a little late.
Yeah, that's true.
But we're getting excited about it because I think it's going to be something that's going to be big in our region.
Mm-hmm.
And last one was in 2017, and just people were just swarming around when they wanted to get eclipse glasses. So so get your glasses now, get ready, and then the one in October we're trying to push is the practice one because
Yes, we've been doing the same
practice
thing.
with that one, get
Yes.
everything set for that one,
Yeah.
then you'll be ready for the big one in April.
Yes, exactly. And we are not close to the line of totality in April. So while we'll be having an event here, because it's still a phenomenon that's amazing to see, for those who can't travel, we're going to Waco. We're doing a road trip.
Well, you're going though, so they're not making you stay.
No, well, Lowell's doing an event with Baylor
Okay.
on Discovery.
Oh,
They're
cool.
they're going to broadcast it.
Nice.
I will be at my niece's wedding, having a good old white trash family time. It'll be
All right,
fantastic,
all right.
which is in Waco because I'm from Texas.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so
You got a place? And
oh
everybody
yeah,
was
they've got
viewing?
it all. I mean, the wedding's on a Wednesday,
Okay.
as is tradition in my family. Just pick the cheaper day
Oh,
of
that's
the week
cheapest
and
day
then
of
party
it,
all
right?
weekend.
Yeah. Well, then you can do everything else after that.
Well, when
yeah.
you have a small family, who cares?
Yep.
But yeah, right there in totality. So I'll just be texting my friends, literally half an hour away at the party.
Perfect.
Or maybe I'll drag them down to party over there. But
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm a seasoned eclipse chaser, and so I don't tie myself down to one place because it could be cloudy, and that's the worst possible thing that ever happen. And the Midwest is a lot cloudier than out here, so we have to be prepared for that. So my plan is to be mobile and watch the weather and pick a few sites to look at. But
So do you like to chase? Well, I'm rude first because people might have just joined for this season and missed last season's episode, which is a real shame. And you need to go and you need to watch it right now because it was so much fun. At that time, you were staying in the Clyde Tombaugh apartment. And I just remember we were talking about Pluto and how Pluto, like the reclassification and people just needing to accept this. And every time we did, there was like that eerie wind. That would go
or
through.
bumps in the night and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're like, Clyde's here.
Yeah, it was a little. So yeah, when we recorded, I just arrived, and we were talking about my book called "How to Teach Grown-Ups About Pluto," which is a kid's book to help walk your traumatized adults through the loss
your
of
traumatized
planets.
millennial adults.
Oh yeah. And so people are still mad about the Pluto thing, and and so here I come into Clyde Tombaugh's apartment with a book kind of saying Pluto's not a planet, and I was like, man,
get over it.
He's gonna haunt me. But I'm happy to say I did not get haunted in the night. I survived. There was nothing out of the ordinary, so I assume that means he approves.
Fantastic. Well, he had a good sense of humor.
That's what I take too, and that's what I kind of take to this approach. It's not like, science doesn't have to be so serious, and people take this they're just words. It's we try to do our best to classify things, and it's never perfect, but you try for the best. So,
well, I think that there's a tendency to have an emotional connection to things. You have to remember, like, these are rocks in space. Like, they don't.
Oh yeah. But there's that emotional factor definitely with Pluto, like nothing else. And I don't know how in the world this happened. Like Like, I even feel a little bit of it too. And I don't know what if it's like when you're a kid, you want to, associate with the smaller planet.
That's the thing. It was like, it wasn't just when it was reclassified in 2006. Like, I remember, so I'm millennial. I grew up Bill Nye and all of that. And Pluto was always the favorite because it was this little guy out there at the end, a little slow. Yeah. Always classified in like pinks and purples. And
it's true.
You know what I mean? So it was like something about that. And then we did not help. Our marketing team has added big baby eyes and made emojis and stickers. You know what I mean? So it's so easy. And it's so funny because this is the god of the underworld.
Yeah, that is the whole thing about this is remarkable. Like, you think about the from a marketing perspective. Yeah. Disney comes out, it's like, hey, we got a new character idea. Pluto, god of the underworld, like the most feared person in Greek mythology.
Yes.
I got an idea. Let's make it a dog.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you take that and move it to that? And we had we didn't think nothing about it.
Oh my gosh. And there's a theory. And Pluto the dog is in our Rotunda Historic Museum. Well,
really?
A picture of him.
Oh,
not the actual dog.
Right, yeah.
Right. No, I think he died. He's pretty old. But no, that dog had been in the earlier cartoons and had a different name. And then Walt himself did a road trip. And the only part of the road trip that was understood at this point was that he was in Sedona, but it was after that road trip that that was Pluto after that.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
I know. And it's,
is it us? Are we the drama?
Well, I mean, I think, you gotta, for Lowell, this is, a big thing. It's discovered here, right up the path up here. And it's, so even for me as a, Pluto's not a planet person, I love like coming and seeing the Pluto scope. I love like retracing the steps. I was like, yesterday I did the Clyde Tombaugh Flagstaff tour. I went over to the restaurant where we went.
Karma.
And the Orpheum Theater. And, so it's like, just the idea of his discovery is still just incredible. I mean, this young guy, what was he, like 24 or something like that?
Yeah, 24, farm boy from Kansas.
I mean, and it's so cool now that you guys have his boyhood telescope out there. That was a cool new addition that I was surprised.
Built from farm parts.
Yeah. So that is so cool. You have that, and I think we talked about if the whole Pluto debate is still in people's mindset even after all these years, And so the offer still stands if you need a villain in this
Yes.
play that we're doing of,
Yes.
Pluto's a planet, Lowell Observatory. If you need the villain to come in to play the contrary, and they'll throw stuff at me
Yes.
and be like,
Lowell v. Dean.
Yeah. So
oh my gosh, let's start a mock tension between Cincinnati and Lowell.
Okay.
Like the heel face, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
It'd be
there's something
playful,
here.
but maybe
Playful.
But yeah.
Like just get on Twitter and then just start, throwing shade.
Okay.
Ooh,
All right. Let's work on
This would
that.
be fun.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
would be fun.
Yeah.
We'll cut this part out.
Right. So you don't know.
Yeah, you never heard about
You
this.
don't know what we're up to. Yeah.
That's so great. Yeah. Well, it's really interesting. So I ended up covering a convention 2 weekends ago, the Phoenix Fan Fusion, which is their version of like the Comic-Con.
Okay.
Like Bill Shatner was there. This is now me just talking about Star Trek, which happens. I got to meet the guy who played Chekhov.
Okay.
If you're familiar with the original series. I love him. Anyway, but so it was a really big event is my point. And so we had a booth there that I ended up covering, and everybody was, we had Pluto, It's Complicated shirts. I'm sure you've seen those in our gift shop. And I always like to use that as an opportunity to talk about the other things because, and this is a hot take. Are you ready?
Yeah.
We've discovered cooler things here. I know. But it's like the, evidence of the expanding universe. Like what is more like a paradigm shift in astronomy than that?
Yeah. No,
So-
that's cool. Yeah, and that's the thing. You don't want the real important stuff to get lost in
Yes.
kind of petty debates and that
Yes.
kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so that's there's so much to it.
Yeah.
Finding that kind of like hook with the public is like the skill. It's that's what we do in Cincinnati, and you all do so well here too, is that you find what the public really is interested
When you
in.
have fun with it. Like we're not, going to be jerks about it or like take a stance. I mean, if you go to our educational talks, we say it's not a planet, it's a dwarf planet. And this is great because so is Ceres, and so are all of these other like rock type planets in the Kuiper Belt.
Yep.
I mean, and this is fascinating and it's really cool. It's not like a negative thing. And we love Pluto because that led to the discovery of so many other things and a lot of science. It's more of like a bridge to learning more than it is like a petty debate. Like we definitely have fun with it though.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you've got to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's great to do. And so like last night I was here. I gave a talk in the what do you call that? The auditorium or
The Gickless.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I gave a talk called "I Want to Believe." It's a talk about.
I'm so upset. I woke up. I fell asleep. I was really sleepy. I woke up at 7 and I was like, should I run over there? And it started at 6. So, so please just tell us what you.
Well, so it's my the talk that I give about kind of conspiracy theories and misconceptions that's in the public eye. There's, talking about UFOs and talking about did we land on the moon, talking about doomsdays, like comets that are going to hit us and that kind of stuff throughout history. And then I had some pushback. Like I'm.
I'm so sad I missed this.
No, not quite as good as that.
Oh.
I was like showing the UFO reports that we get, and doing this for 25 years, I get UFO reports regularly from people. And I start off with talk saying, that I used to believe in UFOs. Like I used to think they were flying overhead and they were coming around and people were abducted and all that stuff. And what changed my mind was actually taking the calls from the people that are witnessing it.
Really?
And that the standard questions, I have a list of questions I ask the people. And the first one is, what day did this happen?
Yeah.
90% of people can't answer that question.
Really?
Yes. They can't figure out what day
Is it a part of
was.
the abduction?
I never thought of that. Like,
Like a quick
it's-
memory wipe and
it's-
on your way?
I think what it is, unfortunately, is the humans are not very good observers. We're not very good witnesses. We can't be trusted with our observations. And so I think what happens is, somebody sees me on TV or somebody hears about something on social media, like, oh, I got to ask Dean about that thing I saw years ago or months ago. And so without like that, it makes me think, well, it obviously wasn't that important to you. And now it only comes out. So I've since become completely skeptical of UFO reports because there's really not much to them. And so I showed the pictures, the standard pictures. There's the Navy pilot pictures. And they're all grainy and black and white. And one person in the audience, I was about to say it because it's part of what I was about to say. One person in the audience is like, can't they get a color picture? Like, are we, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, can't we get in focus, color picture, daytime?
Have you seen the new iPhone cameras?
Yeah. And I mean, it's like 1955 again, where we're taking grainy pictures and we're still fussing over it. So after that, a guy in the audience was like, yeah, but there's just so many reports. You can't discount them all. And he was like, really kind of like pushing back. And I was like,
he's a listener of Coast to Coast.
Apparently so. He's like, well, what about all the
fun show, by the way.
Yeah. He was like, what about all the ancient observations and in mythology? And I'm like, yeah, those you can take those, but I mean,
they're definitely unidentified flying objects.
Sure. But yeah, the big thing is going from that to aliens.
Yes.
Then so he wasn't going for it, but it also reinforced the idea of the kind of crux of my talk is that people want to believe in this so badly that no amount of evidence can change their thing. So and he kind of exemplified the point in a lot of ways because it's so bizarre. Like in how this works is that a person will call up with a theory or an observation, and they want me as an expert to answer it.
They call you direct, like they call Cincinnati. Oh my gosh! Okay.
Or email, or social media or something like that.
Oh, this is fun.
And they say, okay, this is what I think, this is what I've seen, blah, blah, blah. And then if I refute them, or if I say, that's not really how it works, and here's evidence that says that, immediate 180 turn, you're wrong. And I'm like...
So this was just an informative call.
Well, yeah. So they were like, okay, I'm calling you as an expert, and then you give me your expert opinion, and now you're wrong. And I'm like, well, you guys called me. I didn't call you.
And also that would be removing their special moment that
that's what it is.
Witnessed,
Yes. And it diminishes it to them, and they want to be special with this. But what I think the whole meat of this is that that people want validation, and if they don't get the validation, then they'll go somewhere else. And it's a different mindset. So it's tough because there's a lot of theories out there that are kind of not real based in stuff, but people believe it.
Well, and it's good to draw the line there because, I mean, and as you know, Lowell was literally founded on an alien hunt.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it's important, like there aren't any dumb questions. Ask all the dumb questions or interesting questions, or at the time, what was known as there were canals on Mars, so why? Of course, there aren't, and we know that now. But that led to all of these other discoveries. And I think the point is that know when to make that line of like, oh, okay, so it wasn't that, it was this. And that's like the scientific... Isn't that literally the scientific method?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Until you get to something that makes sense. And it's not that just aliens or the idea of this like extraterrestrial intelligence is off the table for astronomers.
Right.
In fact, pretty much every astronomer I've talked to is like, oh, totally.
Right.
Like statistically, probability wise, we are, probably the older system and, I don't know, there are like some other factors.
Right.
But then you get to like invasion and having a civilized nation that was advanced enough to do this kind of travel to get hit, like all of that stuff. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, we haven't been around long enough.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the universe hasn't been around long enough.
Yeah, exactly. And it's there's a couple like weird things about the whole UFO hunt that like one I heard this like because it's been in the news recently about whistleblowers that have seen UFO crafts and that kind of stuff.
Well, and the Pentagon
Right.
releases.
So
yeah.
there's this whole fear like the government has these things and the government does these things. And then I get accused of being a government employee quite often, which
do
I'm
too.
like, yeah,
We
well,
do
it's
too.
nice, but yeah, they're not paying me well enough, that's for sure.
We used to joke like we tell you, but we'd have to kill you.
Right,
and then
yeah,
people were
yeah.
like, oh my God, they
Yeah.
work for the government. It's real. It's like, oh, no.
That's right.
We're paid by general admission tickets. It's just
Yeah.
a nonprofit, man.
So I heard there's two things I think about like UFOs would be like, number one, it's interesting that UFO ideas are like, they would be the size of the spacecrafts we make currently. Like if I was an advanced civilization, my spacecrafts would be so tiny because you could send them faster and farther
Right.
if they're so tiny. They don't have to be so big.
Right. From like a hub or something. Yeah, exactly.
So like you are not going to see them; they're going to be super small. Now I got everybody looking with their magnifying glass on the ground for UFOs. And then the other one I heard there was some people talking on like talk radio, and they were just like, "Oh yeah, you hear about the aliens they were talking about?" And they're like joking. And the one guy said, how come we always see UFOs in the sky? And the other guy was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, of course they'd be in the sky. He's like, well, when we go places, we land stuff on the ground. Like when we go to Mars, we land a rover on the ground. How come there's no stuff on the ground?
Yeah,
And
where
the
they're
guy
just
was like,
hovering up
"Oh."
there.
I was like, whoa, that blew my mind. I was like, this guy was just like, shooting the stuff. And he was like, and I was like, yeah, they should be on the ground too. I mean, they shouldn't be just flying.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
I mean, and then you get to obviously Washington.
Yeah.
All the thick trees and where people go missing. We actually, because we get a lot of questions,
Yeah.
as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Not as many as you do, but
Yeah, no, it's and there's one thing that I try to impart on people too is that when it comes to discoveries in space, almost all of them can be observed by amateur astronomers, and there's hundreds of thousands of amateur astronomers that are watching
it's
the
the real
same thing.
force. Yeah.
And we, just recently a new supernova was found in this galaxy M101, and amateur astronomers are seeing this and observing it and documenting it. And so you can't keep stuff secret.
No.
Astronomers are going to find it, and they're going to talk about it. And so,
and they want to be they want to talk about it.
It's super incentive. You don't get anything if you're second to talk about it, and nobody's going to like tell you don't talk about it because that's not how it works.
And you can't hide it.
No. So that's kind of my tip is that even if it's, there's something you think the government can hide it, they can't. There's no possibility of doing it.
Unless we get into dome theory, but we'll just skip it.
Oh, I don't know that one. I don't know.
We are in a dome.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I just think of, The Simpsons.
Right. Yeah.
It's the only
Under
thing
the dome.
that I think of under the dome.
That's right.
So I want to know, tell me about this book.
Here, I'll show it to the camera.
Ooh.
I don't know. Yeah, so this is my newest book, 1,000 Facts About Space. And it's a National Geographic book. So it's one of those classic Nat Geo books with 1,000 facts and then lots of pictures, illustrations, all that kind of stuff that goes with it, broken down by categories. So there's like categories on
gorgeous,
scientists.
Dean.
There's categories on dwarf planets. That's your section right
little
here.
Venetia Barney.
That's your section there. A lot of dwarf planet stuff in there. So Pluto's in there. Stuff about the sun, galaxies, space travel. So yeah, you can flip it to a new page and learn a new thing every day.
Talk about naming it after the god of the underworld.
Exactly.
We have our goth girl from England.
Was she a goth?
I don't know. We like to joke that she was a goth because it was like, oh, it's so cute. Let's get like a little kid like to mail in a name.
Right.
It's like, let's name it after the devil.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Yeah,
So
it wasn't called Sparkles.
She looks sweet. Don't believe that. She's got a story there. Topsy-turvy facts about Uranus.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, every planet gets a page or two, and
Amazing.
lots of things about
This is
Saturn. And
absolutely stunning.
oh, thank you.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, and you do
And
mythological.
yeah, a little mythology with the constellations and the zodiac and Hercules. And of course, I had to have a page about explosions in space.
I mean, typically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, so I think this is it was a fun exercise to go through this and work with National Geographic on how they
fun.
put this all together is really amazing.
This
So
is so freaking cool. Oh my gosh. And where do you have a website where you can buy this, or is it preferred to buy just anywhere online?
anywhere you can get it is good. Anywhere where you buy books. So
To get this in the gift shop.
I don't think it's in your guys' gift shop.
Is it on the gift shop? When did it come out?
Well, my Pluto book's not in the gift shop either, but I
It
can
was
understand.
last year.
I know. You sold out. That's what it was.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Let's hope. But yeah, it's, wherever you can get your books, you'll probably find it. So bookstores and Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and all that stuff. So.
That's amazing. And it's so pretty. Can I keep this copy?
I wish I could, but that's the only one I have.
Well, let me take a picture of it then,
Yeah.
and we'll get it to our merchandiser. So
All right. That'd
we
be
can
good.
at least get it. Yeah, I know that the other one. I know we had at least a few copies because that's where I got. I got one for my mom.
All right. Cool.
So I know I went in there
Excellent.
and bought it. Maybe it just wasn't enough to keep it up stock.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, this is really pretty. I have so many questions though.
Okay.
So where did they approach you to how did the idea of this come up? And then I'm curious, how did you put it together so that it would be so informative and attractive to kids?
Yeah, I think the big thing is when you do that many facts, it's got to be small, short, bite-sized stuff. So you have to kind of condense things down to the best. And so they I pitched it to them, and no, I'm trying to think. They pitched to me actually. Because I wrote another book years ago called Facts from Space, which it didn't end up being 1,000, but it was pretty darn close. And it was a little more longer. So it was kind of like you read about one fact and then the next fact builds on it. And so it's a little more of a narrative. And they wanted ones that are just they stand alone kind of facts. And so I was like, well, I got some old ones. I can put them together. But all those each fact is about 25 to 30 words. Oh. And that was the tough part because I had all these ones that were 50 or 100. And then how do you pare that down to 25? And in some cases I put stuff out and they said, you got to cut 10 more words. Yeah, and I was to fit in the little bubbles. I was like,
the designer's just there, freaking Dean.
Yeah, he's using long words again. So I use a lot of thes in there. And then and then they were specifically counting them all to make sure there were 1,000. So each category has a certain number, and they're adding up to 1,000. And then the funny part is they were like, so we need to add a timeline and a glossary and for more information that also have more facts. So there's more than 1,000 facts in there. It's way more than 1,000 facts. So I didn't know what I was getting into. They're the 1,000 main facts, but then there's extra facts in the back. So you get extra facts for free.
Right now, Dean is probably preparing to observe the next eclipse.
That is correct. Yeah, that's in the tagline there.
And you have a glossary.
Yep, the glossary.
So pretty.
Yeah, the Messier catalog. Those were extra facts.
These are extra on top.
I know. I didn't negotiate very carefully on that part.
And it should say
more than 1,000 facts because it's definitely more than 1,000.
Get up on that marketing.
I know. Yeah. So the more
powerful facts about greatest hits.
Yes.
That is so clever.
Meteor impacts and so we got things that hit the Earth. We also things hit Mercury, and then the one that hit Mimas. Oh, Meteor Crater.
Meteor Crater.
Yeah, not too far from
our
here.
buddies.
Yep. So, I wonder. Look on that page.
Oh, look, it's the Cincinnati Observatory. Fun.
Wait.
Hey. Look at that. Yes.
What does it say?
Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona has several large telescopes open to the public. It's true. Including the famous telescope that discovered Pluto.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So Lowell's in there.
And I want to see what's Cincinnati's.
Oh, yeah.
The Cincinnati Observatory became the first observatory in the world, I didn't know this, that the public could use when its refracting telescope went into service in 1845.
Yes. So we have the oldest working telescope that's been open to the public in, well, the United States.
I did not know that. For some reason, I thought it was Griffith, but that's not the case. It must have been close.
Griffith has the scope that more people have looked through than any telescope.
Well, and that's just geography, baby.
Yes, yes. And I think theirs goes
They're
back
in
to
LA.
the 1930s, and ours goes back to 1840s. So
That's a big difference.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess Griffith J. Griffith.
Is that his real name? Griffith J. Griffith?
Yes, I went to Griffith because I've got friends there. And honestly, if y'all haven't been to Griffith, it is right next to the Hollywood sign. It's in LA. It is some of the most beautiful architecture. They have fantastic exhibits. They have solar viewing. I mean, it's just fantastic. You should go. So I went and I was kind of wandering the exhibits before I was going to meet up with some of my friends that work there. And there's this beautiful portrait of him. And yes, it's Griffith J. Griffith. And so the first thing I did was call John Compton because I was like, this is so funny. I have to tell someone. He was like, oh, yeah. And his middle name was Driffith.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Griffith.
That would be hard to say.
Isn't that amazing that his name was Griffith?
That's amazing. Yeah, I don't think they told me that on my tour. Yeah, it is an incredible place. The architecture, it is, and it's all free too. That's the thing.
It's free to the public, and that was Griffith J. Griffith's line. He's like, this has to be free to the public.
And I mean, yeah, the location. I was there in the middle of the day, and it's just like this.
Same.
Everybody's so like psyched to be there, and
isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, it is really cool. And so I got a little behind the scenes tour when I was there.
Yeah.
Did they get you to sign on their guest list?
No, but I saw it. I don't want to sign it.
So yeah, they got brought the little guest list and had me sign
Isn't it cool?
2 names above mine. It's Brad Pitt.
No.
He came out there when they were doing the movie Ad Astra, and so he came out there and he signed, and I'm 2 below him on their register.
Gosh. Was there a ketchup stain? Because I feel like he's always eating.
It was a bowl, like it was like it was. I think it was printed and it was big, like
Okay.
so he didn't cross the lines, but it was.
When did you go?
2019,
Okay.
18, 17.
So,
one of those.
did you get to see my husband actually has a show in the Leonard Nimoy
Oh, okay.
Horizon? Did you get to watch it?
No, I didn't get to see any of the shows.
Oh
there,
my gosh,
unfortunately,
it was great. I mean, it's narrated by Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, cool.
And it talks about the observatory and how they basically had to just completely redo it or lift it up in this insane where they're like, it's either going to close forever or we have to find a way to move the entire building.
Wow.
And so they engineered it and they did it.
Oh,
which
that's
is
cool.
Insane.
Yeah,
Isn't that cool?
is.
Highly recommend going. It doesn't have the darkest skies,
Well, right.
obviously, so for stargazing, but that's not even the point.
Right.
It's just it's stunning. I loved it there. But yeah, Griffith J. Griffith will live
good.
in my. It's one of the happy things in my brain about public observatories. But yeah, so that was early 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually I know that our mission for public observing has been a thing, but definitely not since 1845. Can you tell us what is the refracting telescope? Would that be a Clark?
Our scope is it's a Mers and Mahler. They were manufactured.
That's so much more fun to say.
Yes, they're manufactured in Munich, Germany, and so they were the best telescope makers in the world. They were supplying them to like the Tsar of Russia, bigwigs in Europe. They were getting it. And so our founder, his name is Ormsby McKnight Mitchell. He raised the money by going door to door, asking people for $25 a piece in 1842. And so it became the first crowdsourced scientific institution.
Oh my God.
So
it was a GoFundMe.
It was a GoFundMe. And then he takes all this money, which would be the equivalent of like $2 million today, goes to Germany. And I just try to picture this kind of rough around the collar, Midwestern guy from the 1800s showing up in Munich and say, what kind of telescope you got for sale? And they're like, oh boy, well, let's show him then. And he's like, but how about this money? Does that talk a little more? And they're like, oh, we'll give you the
Okay.
Tsar of Russia special then.
And what was his name?
Ormsby McKnight Mitchell. So Ormsby, a very strange first name. I've never met
Ormsby?
another Ormsby out there, but he was basically like the Neil deGrasse Tyson of the 1800s. He would travel giving lectures.
com.
He was just a science popularizer. He's
like you.
Yeah, I mean, there's very
amazing.
similar. We're both self-taught, and it's kind of my inspiration. That's his idea was really revolutionary, just to say, because nobody could see through a telescope. I mean, you couldn't
very
get
inaccessible.
them, and so to make it to the public was something just really out there. Ormsby, yep.
I like this better than Griffith.
Yeah, it's
Ormsby.
Ormsby.
What was that?
Ormsby. That'd be fine.
Ormsby.
Yeah, McKnight Mitchell. So Mitchell is his last name.
Mitchell. Okay,
Yep,
that's
yep.
pretty standard.
Yep.
Ormsby Mitchell.
Yes.
But the McKnight.
Right.
Very
yeah.
nice addition.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So
Some
he's
flavor.
usually OMM is where he always has the abbreviation.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're cool, you need to have an acronym name.
Yep,
you need to
definitely.
start doing like what's your middle name?
Stanley.
Dox yourself. Stanley. So
Yeah.
like DSR.
Yeah, I'm going for a star nickname. I want to
yeah.
I want to be Dino Vega. That's what it would be that's kind of my
Hey.
that's why, because I like the star Vega.
I love this.
It's got a good ring to it, so
mine came with the package. I was born with the Half-Moon.
I was wondering about that. Is
Yeah.
that was a later edition, or that's how it happened?
Original birthday gift.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was. There was a Half-Moon the night I was born.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Waxing
it's
or waning?
different. I'm not sure.
Well, we can go back to the.
I know. I'm not sure. Yeah. But it's funny because it's mostly, it was just used as like an icebreaker at a party kind of thing.
Right.
So it's like,
sure.
what a weird name.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Blame my mother.
Hey, yeah, that's all right.
But this is awesome. This is absolutely gorgeous. And hopefully I can say by the time this airs, find it on the Starry Sky shop or our gift shop. You can buy one. But yes, I'll definitely be ordering at least a few, and we can keep some in the Tomball apartment as well. This is gorgeous.
Awesome. I would give you that one, but I promised it to somebody at the Grand Canyon. I'm going up to the Grand Canyon Star Party today.
Who got this? Is it Raider?
Yeah, Ranger Raider Lane is
That jerk.
I should have brought more, but I'm flying. I can't pack a lot of heavy stuff. So Raider gets the thing, and so
I'll just text him and say, "Rude, you're stealing."
Don't.
My
He
book."
doesn't know. He doesn't know yet.
Okay,
It's gonna be a
I won't text him. I
surprise.
won't text him.
But the Grand Canyon Star Party is so awesome. That's
Yes.
I try to come out to it every single year, and it's 8 or 9 nights of just stargazing out there with amateur astronomers setting up their telescopes, and I've been a part of it as a speaker. I don't know if this is my 5th time.
Wow.
6, 7, 8, 9, 6th time. So yeah, this is it's just like I've been to star parties around the country, but this one is really unique. I think
It's
there's
the
going to be
Grand
about
Canyon.
70 some telescopes,
Mm-hmm.
1,500 people a night. It's going to be awesome.
So, what talks are you giving?
So I'm not going to give my I Want to Believe talk to
Dang it! I was like, I still have a chance.
No, I'm going to give a more general audience one, because this one's called Tour of the Universe, where we start on the Earth and then fly out and make some stops along the way. So we
fun.
see the scale of the universe to the moon, to the planets, to the galaxy, and then the whole universe. So it's kind of one of those like wow programs where you can visually see and make sense of the scale of things.
Are you ending the scale of the solar system with a planet or an exoplanet?
I always joke all right, so we get out to Neptune. Okay, that's about it.
And we're done.
And
here.
everybody's like, well, and then as part of it, you can also see the orbits. So you can see the orbits of all the planets, and they're all flat in this plane, and there's always one going diagonally across the plane, and it does have the label on it. So I chance upon it. They're like, hey, there's Pluto's orbit. Yeah, it's
Weird.
a little different, isn't it?
Weird
than-
how it looks different than the
Isn't
others.
it weird how it's different? And
One
then
of
everybody
these
kind of
things
like.
is not like the
So
other.
I remember
Little chaos rock. I love him. Though.
I know a couple of years ago, because I know the audience is
Waiting.
they know what's going on.
Yeah.
And they're so I remember one of the talks I gave in the theater, and they were able to live stream it outside too, so people outside could hear it too. And so I was talking about Pluto, and then I was like, so here's all the planets, and then there's Pluto. It doesn't count. And I could hear people outside, like they're like, what? I could hear the people inside were very behaved because they're right face to face with me. They were less audibly.
I would have easily
gasping.
playfully booed you to your face. It would have been
But
fantastic.
I think it was booing. I think there was booing. I could hear it from coming through the doors from outside.
You're going to be put on a rail out of town.
And I forget. I was like, I hear that people outside. Boo yourself or something like that.
Amazing. I love it.
But so that one's always fun to get to that point, and then you back up and you show it's not alone, and then there's all these other dwarf planets out there.
Little icy
There's
brethren.
Sedna out there, and so that one's one of my favorite talks to give. It kind of like appeals to all ages and levels. And that
John
kind of-
Compton likes to say #justice for Ceres.
Well, yeah, Ceres is the one that bothers me the most.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Let's make that a dwarf planet. I don't know.
What is it? What's it classified as?
To me, it's an asteroid. I mean, just because it's round, so I don't know. It doesn't do much for me. Roundness doesn't do anything for me. But
They're so wee.
and I think I meet people that are like, well, you can't say it has to be a certain size. Like, it can't be more than 1,000 kilometers wide or something, because you can't just like make an arbitrary number. So the idea is, if it's round, it had to be geologically big enough to be round, or like to make a round object. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Roundness doesn't do it for me, but I don't know. There's some people that it does.
Well, and the confusing thing is, too, not to dwell on Pluto too long, but it's got like the tectonic activity and atmosphere and all of that. So is that what? I mean, I don't know. But then there are a bunch of stuff we wouldn't be able to classify because we wouldn't know.
I know. Yeah. I mean, does an atmosphere help? It's too tough because moons can have this kind of thing, but. Yeah, it's not an easy thing to put everything in nice, neat categories.
Fuzzy.
It really is, and that's part of the exploration of this. Is that this is fluid, and we'll go where the evidence kind of points us. But,
that's right.
Yep.
Well, what else? Really quick, what else are you doing for the Grand Canyon this week?
Yeah,
so I want to be sure we get that out there.
Absolutely. So it's every June they do this, and so I'm going to give the kind of the keynote talk on Monday.
Fantastic.
That's today, but and then afterwards, then you go out to the field, or you go out to the big parking lot where the telescopes are all set up, and people can just go from telescope to telescope and look through, see all sorts of things like open clusters and globular clusters and galaxies.
Galaxy season, yeah.
Yeah, and we got Venus out there also.
Yep.
The moon is not there, so you can't see that, but you can then see the Milky Way. And then they usually do a few talks, and so I'm doing a few out there in the parking lot in the dark with a green laser, and I can point out the stars and constellations and a little bit of the mythology behind those.
So fun.
And so I try to throw in some fun stories, and you can actually kind of imagine the constellations out there, but it's still a big stretch for us.
And Kevin Schindler will be out there tomorrow.
Excellent.
So hopefully y'all can meet up and geek out over this.
Oh yeah, Kevin does a great job with his talks, and he just finished his astronomer in residency. Is that correct?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
That is so cool. And his project is so fascinating about how the astronauts were trained and
reliving their steps.
That was really cool to do. So I got to do a residency there in 2021, where I got to live in the park for a whole month, and it's just a magical place. I mean, it's I can't wait to get back up there and say hi. I mean, it's like, it's one of those places, just real amazing spots.
Yeah, for the longest, I wasn't sure how to experience the Grand Canyon, which sounds weird, but typically as like a tourist, you'll take the train, the Grand Canyon Railway or something like that, and you'll be there in the afternoon. So around noon.
Right.
And then you'll have to leave unless you've planned this. And usually it takes quite a long time to plan
Oh, yeah.
a proper trip there to get permitting and everything. And it was obviously stunning. But, with the sun right overhead, and it was kind of like, I don't know what to do now because I can't hike down in it because I have to leave in a few hours. And I'll walk half a mile this way and the view doesn't change because it's so big
Right.
that it's almost difficult to know how to interact with this park. And then I saw it in the evening.
Yep.
And in the morning. And I was like, there it is.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the shadows are in the oh my God.
Yeah.
It's just one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen.
Yeah. If you can only go during the day, I don't want to say don't bother, but it's just a whole different thing.
If it's a bucket list item,
Right.
make an effort to try to be there in the evening.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the thing.
And staying the night too, like I know it's like kind of can be pricey or somewhat inconvenient, but
Right.
it's just being able to stay a night there where you can experience the darkness, the Milky Way, and then wake up in the morning and see the sunrise. Yeah, that's the best. The middle of the day is really tough, and it's so busy.
When it washes out all the colors, it's so busy.
Yeah.
It is like an hour-long line for food, all that stuff.
But after 5 o'clock, it is like...
Well, half the park is after dark,
Half
right?
the park is after dark. That's their slogan, which is awesome.
It's so
and
true. I'd argue more of it.
Because people do. They ask me all the time, like, well, isn't it just so crowded? And you're like, you can't see anything. I'm like, well, not when I'm there.
No, really. And in the
really
morning...
is.
Oh my gosh, I'd go to El Tovar because I got to crash Kevin's party.
Yep.
And just get a coffee. I'd be out there at like 6 o'clock, 6:30 because you also just wake up naturally early because I don't know why.
Right.
And zero people.
Yeah.
Just completely empty.
You got the place to yourself. It really
Sun
is.
coming up. I mean.
Yeah, and even if you're off the like where the bus stops are and you just hike 200 feet, nobody's going to be there.
Seriously.
So, yeah. So it is just one of those places. And I think, I have so much a better appreciation of it now since I went down to the bottom.
I still
Phantom
haven't.
Ranch. It is, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And I had the sweetest deal ever
you
because
did.
I didn't have to carry very much. They sent my supplies down
Yeah.
ahead of time.
Well, you had the astronomer in residence.
I did
at
have the
time,
I did have the
so-
perks of a actual bed to sleep in, an actual shower, and I only had to carry a day pack. So it was the sweetest deal I'm ever gonna get. And well, that's why I bring these books to Raider so he can hook me up again.
It's
to
really
the
fair,
Rangers.
honestly.
So
it's fair.
so
Are you working on do you have another book in mind for future?
well, so there's a few that are kind of in the works. One is a book for people that are visually impaired. That it's kind of a braille / book that you can kind of feel the textures of planets and things like that and stars. That's still in the development stage, so I don't know how far that's going to go, but that's something I'm looking at.
Let me know
Yeah.
when that gets like into production.
Yeah.
Because the Astronomy Discovery Center has a huge focus on making that kind of stuff accessible, and I'm sure they'd love to have that book in there.
Oh yeah, there's so many. There's a few books that are like that out there, and the educator that does this her name's Noreen Grice. She's really great at this kind of stuff, and she's really amazing about trying to make astronomy accessible to a lot of people. And this is the book that I'm looking at is through a Cincinnati group that does this kind of stuff too. So I was like, we got to do an astronomy thing with this. This would be so cool. And so I'm hoping that's gonna. But we're still in the exploration stage. So that one I'm looking at. I think the kind of the new thing that's kind of come about is from this book is I'm doing a lot of social media posts now, and I do something on Instagram called Today's Space Fact.
Ooh,
so
okay.
every weekday I give a fact about space, usually from the book, and so you can find me on Instagram for Dean Regas and just follow along there.
Oh, it's
And
on the Dean Regas.
it's on
page.
Instagram. Just look up Dean Regas.
Okay.
And then I'm doing some YouTube shows also. The show is called All Night.
Okay.
So where I invite people to stay up all night, even though the show's only 10 minutes, but still. And you can learn about things. So that's on our YouTube. That's on the Cincinnati Observatory YouTube
We'll put
channel.
a link in the description to that.
That would be cool. And so I recorded a few videos yesterday here.
Ooh,
So
yay.
today's space fact, maybe even today, is going to be the planet symbols on the way into the observatory you have out there.
Yeah, aren't those cool?
Yeah. So I think that's going to be my fact of the day. So tune in.
Just take a picture, but just have it cut off.
Oh, just wait till you see.
Oh no!
Because well, all right.
Is it blurred, like censored?
So
just put a censor bar.
Yeah, the symbols for the planets, they start at the bottom with Mercury, then Venus, then Earth, then Mars, go all the way to the top. And I get to Neptune, and then there's one above it. And I'm like, PL. I have no idea what that is.
No,
And then a little wink to the camera, and then that's it. So, and then
Amazing.
there'll be another space fact about what the PL actually stands for. So
wait, are you gonna share this at all? I'm asking for our feud. This is fantastic. Are you gonna share it on the Cincinnati Observatory Twitter?
Yes, and my own too. So
and
it's
your
going
own
to be, so I'll tag you guys. That's for
fantastic.
Sure. All the stuff, I took some pictures last night, and the crowds. It was so cool because like I'm just here on a Sunday night, and there's so many people here, and you have so many telescopes open, and it was really great to see just on a normal Sunday night, nothing, special had happened and really, but just people get so excited about it. So
well, we did tell people about your talk and got a lot of interest.
That's good.
So I'm sure that
That's
a lot
true.
of that was they wanted to see your talk.
Yes.
So
one of my favorite times I gave the I Want to Believe talk. I gave it at a bar.
Still so upset.
I gave it at a bar once, which is definitely open up to some problems. But I'm decent at crowd control, so I can. And I look over at the bar. There's this older couple, and they're wearing tinfoil hats. And I'm like, oh shoot,
Wait,
this is.
Did you mark it that you were gonna?
Yeah, they knew what the topic was. They knew kind of what I was going to talk about, and they're wearing their tinfoil hats. And so I'm just like, all right, are they doing this for fun? Are they serious? I have no idea.
How can you?
And so then at the end of the talk, they come up to me, and I have no idea what they're going to say. I don't know if they're like, so we wore our hats just to make sure the aliens can't probe us from up there. And I'm like, really? It's like, no, we're just kidding.
Oh, thank God. Did you get a picture with a tinfoil hat on?
Yeah, I was like, whoosh.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, my goodness.
That needs to be in all of your books. That needs to be your author photo of you in the tinfoil hat.
That's right. Yeah, I need to get a little crazy with that. I'm going to have to think about that. That has to be good. Yeah.
We'll make you a tinfoil hat.
Okay.
And send it over. It's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining our podcast again. If you missed the first podcast that Dean was in, go back to season 1 because it was really, really fun. And we really go into Pluto and why it's not a planet and it is a dwarf planet. And then we ask you to argue with us in the comments, which people did by the way.
Good,
oh yeah, they
good.
went off. It was fantastic. Get mad at Dean with us. He is our...
All right, I'm the villain.
Yes,
you could send all
the
stuff
heel.
Yeah, yeah.
Public enemy number 1. We hate this
it.
guy.
Yeah, that's right. You got to have a nemesis somewhere.
That's right.
So
and look up Dean Regas on Instagram and find this book in stores and buy them, but keep one for me, please, because I want one. So follow along on Twitter, and you'll see our feud coming up. Thank you. Bye.
This podcast was made possible by our members and donors. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support our nonprofit in making more digital education like this available, go to lowell.edu/donate. Thanks for listening.